A few months ago, I released my original review on the MOZA Racing CRP Loadcell pedals. Needless to say, I was fairly critical of them. The throttle needed better springs, many bolts were rusty, the clutch was hard to control, etc. Since then, the people over at MOZA Racing have been hard at work and have sent me what they believe is a much improved version of the CRP pedals. But are they really? Let's find out. The CRP pedals continue to be some of the best looking in the market right now. They're constructed from CNC aluminum with a matte black finish and some gold and silver accents. All three pedals are included, and they have been substantially revised since the last time I took a look at them. The clutch still features a 3-stage mechanism where it starts off with less resistance, then sharply increases and suddenly drops off to imitate hitting a car's bite point. This time, however, all 3 stages are far more subtle, which not only feels better to press down, but is easier to modulate in-game. Something that could still use some improvement is to lessen the spring force when coming off the clutch, since I felt it dramatically snap back as soon as I began to release pressure, rather than smoothly retract back with my foot. In general though, a big improvement over the first generation. In terms of the brake pedal, it remains as good as I said it was in my original review. According to MOZA Racing, they've optimized parts of the pedal structure to improve the motion and smoothness of the travel. Frankly though, I've always been a fan of it, so I don't have much to add in that regard. The brake still remains solid and most importantly rigid, and its precise Loadcell sensor works as good as you would expect. Finally, you're still able to interchange springs and stoppers to increase or decrease the force needed to push it down. At its max resistance, it feels like you're kicking a rock, but I guess some people like that. The throttle is something I very much disliked in the original unit because it felt slow to react and I never felt confident with it. I'm glad to say though that that is no longer the case. MOZA Racing have been able to optimize internal components of the pedal structure to improve the smoothness and eliminate the slow rebound I complained about in the past, paired with what I believe is a stronger spring and now feels very good. It has a comfortable travel and immediately retracts back with my foot as I release the gas and transition to the brakes. The CRP pedals as a whole have been substantially revised. No more rusty bolts, the clutch is easier to modulate, and the throttle feels a lot more precise. That being said, there is still room for improvement. Although the 3 individual pedals can move around independently, the cables connecting them to one another are very short. This means you cannot interchange the position of the clutch and the throttle pedal to invert these pedals on a cockpit because you won't be able to connect them together. That sounds like an extremely privileged thing to complain about, but considering that a lot of people purchasing these pedals do have a cockpit that supports inverted mounting, it's something to keep in mind. I personally would have loved to invert these pedals onto my rig. Adding a slightly longer cable is all that is needed to solve this issue. The MOZA Racing pedal base I have does tend to flex substantially, especially when hard on the brake. I do however think that MOZA Racing now provides a revised version of it, so I won't talk about this further. A lot of the positive things I mentioned about these pedals in my original review still remain. They are adjustable in near endless ways, they look fantastic, and work flawlessly with any game on PC. For anyone wondering, these pedals will not work on consoles, but since they plug in via USB, can be used as a standalone on PC with another brand's wheel. In conclusion, this generation of the MOZA Racing CRP pedals are a big improvement from the first, and I've been very impressed throughout the time I've spent with them. Frankly though, I'm more impressed with the actions taken by MOZA Racing. As you all know, they are one of, if not the newest competitor in the sim racing market, and I'm very glad that they are taking the community's reviews, thoughts, and opinions into serious consideration while they continue to develop their lineup of gear. As always, thank you all for watching, stay safe, and have a fantastic rest of your day.